Please everybody rise for the evening prayer. Thank you. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make a decision which will be for the good of our city. We also pray your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Amen. Remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Samaras.
Here.
Councilor Cirillo.
Here.
Councilor Conway. Councilor Elliott. Here. Councilor Kennedy.
Here.
Councilor Leahy. Here. Councilor Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Noon.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Councilor Mercier has asked for a moment of silence. Councilor
Yes.
Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Rita McMahon Burke, widow of the late Edward Burke, Jr., who passed away in 1998 after 48 years of marriage. She was raised in Lowell, where she attended Lowell schools, graduating from Lowell High School. Rita worked as a bookkeeper in the family-owned Burke Auto Service in Lowell. In her younger years, she worked for many years at the Mohair Plush in Lowell before her marriage to Edward. Together, they moved to Belvedere in 1956 and became a communicant of Immaculate Conception Church. She will be deeply missed by all those who had the fortune of having her in their lives. She is survived by her 4 children, Edward, Mary, Catherine, Susan, and Richard, 5 grandchildren, her 2 brothers, her 3 sisters, Shirley, Esther, and Irene, her 2 brothers, Gerald and Robert McMahon, a commissioner on the Lowell Housing Authority. She will be truly missed. And I'd also like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for James Warren Flood, Jr., a widely renowned and respected attorney in the Merrimack Valley for nearly 50 years. He was the beloved husband of Judith, his wife of 48 years. Jim attended Lowell schools and was a graduate of Lowell High School, class of 1962. Jim studied at St. Anselm's College with a Bachelor of Arts. He then focused his studies on law, first earning his Juris Doctor from the Boston College Law School, and later his Master's of Laws from Boston University School of Law. After decades of practicing law in and around Lowell, Jim formed a partnership with his son James and daughter Catherine, both attorneys, creating Flood Law Office PC in Lowell. Jim was a longtime affiliate of the Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank, serving as an incorporator, a director, clerk, and member of the executive committee of the bank. Jim served as president of Vespa Country Club in 1991 and Long Meadow Golf Club. Jim was a giver, and helping people was one of his greatest qualities. In addition to his beloved wife, Judy, Jim is survived by his 4 children, James W. Flood III, Catherine, William, and Thomas, as well as his 2 grandchildren. We offer our condolences to his family, relatives, and many friends. He will be truly missed. We also offer for a moment of silence in darkened chamber to all the people who have passed on since our last council meeting. May they rest in peace. Thank you.
All right, we'll darken the chambers. Under Mayor's business, I'd like to take out of order the recognition of the Lowell High School 2018 boys track team. This was brought in by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Elliott.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to speak on this. Thank you for putting on the agenda to recognize the Lowell High School 2018 boys Division I State Championship track team. Congratulations. I think it's important that we hear from Coach Willett, but this team, not only were they Division I state champs, but they were Merrimack Valley championship team as well. They, as the coach said, I said, what exactly, what are some of the awards, what are some of the items we can speak to? He said, we cleaned the table. We cleared the table in the 55-yard, the shot put, many relays, and I don't want to go into it too much, but I think it's just wonderful to have them here and to recognize them for their efforts. It's an incredible conference, and to be state champions, it's just incredible. Coach Willett, and by the way, the girls did just as well. There's 113 girls on the track team. So as we talk about the new high school and the field house, we can't lose that track. But that being said, and these youngsters here are a good reason, a good example why. But Coach Willett, he has been a coach and a teacher for 17 years. And he had some pretty big shoes to fill with the retiring coach, Phil Mayer. And I have to tell you, you see the boys here tonight and their record and their accomplishments. Coach Willett, you have filled those shoes. So congratulations and welcome to City Hall and welcome to all of the young student athletes that we have here today.
I know Coach Willett very well, and Division I sports are a very strong sport team. Coach Willett?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Malik, you want to hold that trophy up? Yeah, there we go. All right, so that was pretty good.
Gentlemen, can you want to join your coach?
Over and around a little bit. Okay. Thank you, Mayor Samaras, for having us here today. My name is Scott Willett, 61 Knob Way. In addition to a resident, like Councilor Elliott so eloquently said, I'm also a teacher and a coach at the high school, and I take a lot of pride in that. Mr. Samaras, to you, your colleagues, and of course, the manager, it's very humbling to be here tonight and for all of the support that we have received across the city, not just since we've won this championship, but really overall. Our remarks tonight will be brief. We'll be very respectful of your time, but I do want to tell you one quick story. It was last Friday night we won that state championship, and over the weekend, I was shoveling out the snow in my driveway, and the snowplow driver stops, rolls down the window. Hey, Coach, congratulations. Tell the kids, great job. Got shoveled out. I went to the gas station, got gas in my car. A friend of mine pulls in. Hey, Scott, that was amazing. Tell those kids, amazing, great job. I go in and get a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm in line. Somebody I don't even know taps me on the shoulder. Hey, you're the coach at the high school for the track team, right? I said, yeah. Hey, tell those kids congratulations. That's a great job. That happened to me all weekend long. So that gave me a lot of pride. I know that the people in the city have a lot of pride in Lowell High School. That's very obvious. They love to support our kids, and I think it's amazing that they do. And I think these kids are amazing. Wearing the Lowell uniform to these guys, that means the world to them when they compete. And they compete with such pride, and if anybody ever could watch them, it's just an amazing thing. It really is. And we're really just blessed to have the kids that we have. As Councilor Elliott said, we had 133 boys this winter in indoor track. The girls had 112. That's quite a bit. We have 33 seniors here that have been in the heart and soul of the team for a very long time, and just about all of them are already lined up for college, many of them going on to play sports in college, and that a lot of that has to do with the opportunities that they have at the high school, which we're just thankful to have the opportunities that we do have. We did start indoor track over in our home gym the Monday after Thanksgiving, and we practiced every day after school. We practiced on the weekends. We hosted home meets. We traveled around New England to the biggest competitions there were. We spent more hours than any one of us would probably want to admit at the Reggie Lewis Center down in Boston. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of sacrifice, but these guys deserve it. Before I bring up a couple of the kids, I'll just tell you a little bit about that state championship meet. With 5 events remaining, we were losing to Lexington. by a score of 38-9. A lot of positivity. These guys never got down. Eventually, we rallied, closed that gap, and we won that meet 51-41. So it was quite a comeback, you know. So I do want to recognize a few of these guys as representatives. So a kid who I consider the heart and soul of the team, representing the distance runners and you know, the longer distance guys that you see running around out there, would be a senior, Carlos Rivera. Come on up, Carlos.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor. My name is Carlos Rivera. I'm a senior, and I came to Lowell High from the Bartlett Middle School. First off, I want to start by acknowledging the season we had. First, MVC Conference champions. Then, our first indoor division championship since 2013. Something to be very proud of, and the crazy comeback victory that we all had is something that a lot of us will remember for years to come. And our story still isn't over. Got to keep improving day by day. And last November, I came up here after all states for cross country. I came to tell you guys what it means to me to be a Lowell High School student athlete. From then to now, I can say my feelings have stayed the same. I feel pride in wearing my Lowell cross country or track and field sweater wherever I go. I'm happy knowing that I have the most supportive teachers and staff at the school, but not only them, the most supportive coaches and friends who push me to be my best. To be a Lowell High School student athlete, you have to understand two things. First is the 3 words that Coach O drills into our heads day in and day out. And I know I could work on this a lot more myself. And what these 3 words are first, consistent, second, reliable, and third, loyal. These words are what we keep in our heads to improve and better ourselves and prepare ourselves for anything anyone wants to throw at us. And the second is having fun. Fun with those around you, with your team, making every moment yours as you go through ups and downs, meeting new people, making new relationships, and best of all, getting through them together, knowing you have a second family to back you up every step of the way. That's what being a Lowell High School student athlete is all about to me. Thank you.
What a great job. What a great kid. Representing our shot putters and our weight men would be Sean Trott. Come on up, Sean.
Good evening, Mayor Samaras. My name is Sean Trott. I live in Centerville, 36 Orleans Street. I am a senior at Lowell High School, and I entered from the Robinson Middle School. Next year, I have plans to attend UMass Lowell and continue my track career. Thank you very much for bringing us all here tonight. We really appreciate it. At the start of the season, we really had one goal, and that was to win this trophy. And to actually win that the way we did, how we did it, was truly special to all of us, and it's something we're really going to remember for the rest of our lives. We're a very close team, and we all love each other, and thank you.
Great job, Sean. Representing our hurdlers and some of our quarter-mile sprinters would be Jose Guzman, senior.
Hello, Mayor Samaras. My name is Jose Guzman. I'm from Pawtucketville, 44 Vevey Avenue. And I came from Butler Middle School, and I'm currently a senior at Lowell High School. I, at the moment, have not decided on where I'm going to college, but I'm definitely going to run, thanks to my coaches, family, and friends. In the beginning of the season, like Trot said, our goal was to win the state division championship. We grinded so hard, we went through obstacles, and eventually, look what it paid off. We won it. Not many teams could say that they did. I love the city, I love this team. They're truly the best that have came to me. I'll never forget it. Thank you.
Okay, and we have one more. We're going to bring up Anthony Dung to represent our sprinters and our relay runners.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank Mayor Samaras and everyone for having us. I'm Anthony Duong. and I'm from 17 Avery Street in the Highlands, and I came from the Daily School. And I plan on, well, I'm gonna play football at Bentley University next year. And this track team has meant a lot to me in the years. We're so close, and I can go through the list of all the things we won, but that's not the most important thing. It's the bond we have, and like you go to all these meets and you see people, like great individuals, but what we have is much more. Where we win all the relays mostly, and we swept the relay meet like it was nothing. So that just goes to show that we're a very strong team, and I know that everyone on this team is going to do amazing things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate it. I know that anything with the high school is close to your heart, and to be able to recognize these guys meant a lot. Before I leave, I just would, if I could just give a shout out of support to the assistant coaches. We have 6 assistant coaches, and those guys, they live and die for these kids, and they would do anything for them. So I want to give them a shout out, and also here this evening supporting us. It's very important to have the administrative support, as we all know. And we have a great athletic director, Ms. Lazinski, and a great head of school with Ms. Bastide, and they're both here with us this evening to support us. So I wanted to recognize all of those people. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach Will. Everybody just stay there. We'd like to have one picture. We'd like to have the city council stand up in front and have one quick picture.
Okay, great. So just step a little forward, guys. Malik, right in the center there with the trophy. Squeeze right in here, guys.
Oh, snap.
James, can you get everyone?
I think so, yeah. You ready? Oops. Yeah, all right, I got everybody.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm gonna take a couple. 1, 2, 3. And then let me take one with the flash. 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samaras. Thank you.
Great job, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Coach? I think you can understand why I had such a great job when I was headmaster of Lowell High School. They are our true ambassadors. All right, before we begin, I'd also like to mention I have a badge on here. It's a badge of honor. This week is Women's Week in Lowell, and it started a celebration this Monday. Councilor Mercia was also acknowledged as being a leader in the political field for women in Lowell, and this organization was set up to talk about and demonstrate clearly the role of women have played in making the city a better place. Thank you. Okay, at this point, we have to have the discussion on the process and procedures for selecting the city manager. Is Mary Calery here?
Yes.
Okay, there you are. Okay. Would you mind explaining the process that has been used and
Thank you.
what you have here as far as information is concerned?
Yes. I've left each counselor a packet, which I think you have in front of you. So when we selected the current city manager, we advertised in the list there, MMA, Lowell Sun, Boston Globe, Boston Herald, Republican in Springfield, the ICMA, the Khmer Post, which cost the city close to $4,800. We can go that route if you like. The route of posting just other positions, and you can do with the city manager's position as well. We'd post for 2 weeks. It would go on the city's website, and we fill the mailboxes downstairs, which circulates the job description in-house.
Yes. Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to get the discussion going, I would like to move that we proceed with the same procedure that we used when we selected City Manager Kevin Murphy some 4 years ago.
Okay, do you want to give that outline again as to the procedure, so we can just...
Sure. So when we selected Manager Murphy, we advertised in the MMA, the Mass Municipal Association, the Lowell Sun, the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, Republican in Springfield, the ICMA, and the Khmer Post. If that's the wish of the council.
You want any adaptations?
Well,
Okay, Councilor,
what do you have to pay for all those?
Yes,
Every single one, even the MMA?
yes.
Okay,
I have the prices also listed there, in the individual prices.
okay. I don't think we have a second to the motion yet.
I do.
Okay.
I second it.
oh, second, okay. So, I'm sorry, thank you.
I guess, I think it might be prudent to whittle that down so that, maybe we have one ad in the Globe, stick with the Mass Municipal Association and whatever else you would recommend.
Right, that's what I was going to, you don't have to do, I think there was 7 spots. If you just want to do 2, you can do that too. We will put it on the city's website automatically.
You all set? No. We have a motion on the floor, Councilor Elliott, Mercia, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only requirement for the process and procedure for the selection of a city manager is to post a position internally for 2 weeks, the cost of which is nothing. To do anything other than that is adding a cost to the taxpayer, putting other candidates outside the city at a disadvantage, waste of time, and money to advertise for a position where one interested Lowellian has an interest for. And I know that person because she spoke to me yesterday at the Women's Week, and I asked her if she had an interest, and she told me that she did. So I say, let's end what we're having here this evening and offer it to the only person I know that has the necessary votes, or 2 of my colleagues would not be attempting to run for the office to fill that seat. So I say, stop testing and trying to fool the public with all this that's going to take place. The public is much smarter than that, and for that I say, I would request to amend that motion to post the position for 2 weeks, then ask the city mayor to call the person and we'll start the votes, because I believe the votes are already there. Let's not have a charade here, that's my opinion. I'm not supporting the motion. If you want to begin.
Is there a second on that amendment?
On what now? Could you repeat
Is there a
that?
second on that?
Could you just read the,
Could you read that back?
Councilor Mercia has amended the motion to just file in-house for 2 weeks as required and offer the position to the mayor's office for an interview to an existing individual.
I second it.
Second.
Yeah, can I speak on it too?
It was Councilor Cirillo, you had your hand first.
Yes,
And Councilor Milanese.
with all due respect to Councilor Mercier, I don't agree with this being a farce. I feel that going through the process of hiring a city manager is very important. I feel that it shows the city that we are working towards looking for the right person for the position of city manager, and we're giving many people the opportunity to look into the position. So I do not support her motion. I still support Mayor Kennedy's City Councilor Kennedy's motion. I don't know how that would work, but I just feel it's important that we do go through the process and show the city of Lowell and the residents that we are we are working towards giving as many people the opportunity as possible. Thank you.
Councilor Milonazo?
I'll defer to Council Leahy and then speak.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I think that this time is unique. I think that we have someone who's from the city, which is a very important qualification. They're more than qualified to fill this position, and I really don't see the necessity to put out an all-points bulletin for someone that we may not really genuinely be interested in looking for. I think that it's different because we have so many different projects going on in the city, especially the school. Somebody that can come in here and start on day one and knows the process, knows the city, has a vested interest, and again, you know, is very qualified, very interested for the position. So I'd be maybe for, you know, post it, but not spend a lot of money on this. Just put it out on the city website, see what happens. But I think in all honesty, I've learned over this last term that, you know, having somebody that is a local resident, has a vested interest in the city, makes a world of difference in this position. So I'll support Councilor Mercier's motion.
Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you. I too will support Councilor Mercier's substitute motion. My question is, though, for the solicitor. In light of the fact that we do get so many federal and state grants, are we in any way jeopardizing our affirmative action equal employment opportunity by just doing what has been suggested? I would think not, that if it was on the website and we're doing some outreach, if we ever wanted to put an ad in the Camilla Post, we can certainly, I think, do that if we wanted to do that. But I guess my question is, would we be putting any of our federal or state grants at risk?
Not that I'm aware of. And I'd also, I guess, ask HR to weigh in on that.
Again, I didn't think so either. I just wanted to get it on the record.
I'm not aware of everything.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mayor. I do agree that we shouldn't spend too much money on the advertisement. However, I do feel that having this process is open, knowing that, you know, there's a sitting senator right now interested in the position. There may be other people that will come up, that may come out, right? So having that process open is important. It's important for the city to say that this is not a done deal.
Yes, it is.
We should have a process, same process that applied to our current city manager now should be, you know, employed, so that we have input, at least open process, and maybe input from the public in terms of questioning. Maybe, you know, giving opportunity for the public to, you know, send in question during the interviewing process of candidate. Maybe one candidate, maybe two candidates, maybe three candidates. Those processes need to be in place. Thank you.
Councilor Leahy, then Councilor Kennedy.
Sure thing. I just want to make it clear too, we're still going to do interviews. But you know, that would definitely do in interviews. I mean, it's not a given. It's just that we have someone that we're very interested in, that I'm very interested in, and we will conduct interviews. But I just don't think that we should put, you know, spend a lot of money on advertising until maybe we do interviews. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that in order to do interviews, you have to have applicants, so people have to apply. The only way that people are going to apply is if people know that the position is available. You know, the process is important, and I think we have a responsibility to do the process. I think that that's what people expect. And I also think it's what's fair, not just to the people that we expect to apply, but also for anybody else that may want to apply, that won't be able to if you shut down the process. I think that the process is important. Granted, there may be a candidate that's out front and somebody who's served on the city council and has served as the mayor twice and who everybody knows, and that would be the front runner. However, there's still a lot of issues to consider. We don't know if that candidate needs to have a contract, and is there going to be an appetite for this council to give a contract? We don't know what the salary requirements will be for that candidate or for any other candidate. I think that there's a lot of questions to be still to be asked, and you only find out the answer to those questions if you go through the process and go through the interview process, and I think that that's important. I don't think we need to spend $5,000, but I do think that we have to do more than just post it downstairs and think in 2 weeks that we've done due diligence. We will not have done due diligence if that's what we're going to do. And by not doing due diligence, that's what turns it into a charade. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further discussion? Councilor Elliott.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we need to go through the process as well. We always have, and to me, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for a number of reasons that have already been stated. But it is due process, and we have to go through a public process to maintain the integrity of this governing body. I mean, it's a public position, and there are attributes that are positive and will be seen favorably by some, whether it is a local candidate or knowing the issues. But, you got to take it a step further and say, well, what is the vision? What is the issues? What are some solutions? What's the experience to problem solve and make decisions? So I think it's important to advertise it. I don't think that we should spend the money for this reason. I don't think people looking for to become the city manager in this field, they're not going to be opening the newspaper. I mean, I think those days are long gone. I think that people are looking at them on websites or through, on websites, let's face it. I mean, there's a finite number of people that will be qualified for this, and they know where the jobs are going to be posted. It happens all the time. So I think it's important that we go to the MMA and that we go to the ICMA, and those that, they don't cost a lot, and they're much more effective, and it's timely. So I think there's merit to doing this for a number of reasons, and I will support going with the full process. I think we can do it in a timely manner, as we have in the past, which would include posting for 10 days or however the time frame works. We get the resumes, they're sent to the city council. We review them for a week. We make our recommendations back to the clerk. In a week's time, I would suggest, and it's just a suggestion, and if necessary, I'll put it in the form of a motion. We give 3 top candidates, and then we we come back, the clerk let us know, and then we set interviews for the following week. So I think it's, 10 days or 2 weeks, a week to review, get back to the clerk, and then we start interviews, the following week. So if that is agreeable, I think that makes sense, that we're moving forward and we try to provide some seamless transition with the time frame that we have.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can see that I'm not winning here, but if the people that are listening, I just want to say I'm not voting to support the process. The process is to post a position for 2 weeks. That costs nothing. I feel bad for the person that would apply from Holyoke or the woman that might apply from Winchendon, but please remember what I say. We all know who's going to be the next city manager, and you're going through the motions, and I feel bad for the people that are putting their time and energy and they don't have a shot in the dark. I say, why don't we just put the person and I asked this person, would you like us to give you a call to offer you the job? And she said, that would be nice. So, I mean, I'm just telling you. I'm trying to save $5,000. It isn't much. I'm trying to save a lot of legwork. All you got to do is read the paper and know what's happening here. So don't say I told you so, but go ahead and have your search. See what happens.
Councilor Cirillo.
Thank you, Mayor. I would not feel bad for any applicants because I would give every single applicant equal measure. And I feel that going through the process and giving every applicant equal measure is important and it's democratic. So thank you.
Councilor Malnazzo.
Just to follow up after hearing the discussions, I do think that the MMA and the ICMA and the Camilla Post are certainly those papers and publications that we should put an ad in, not just the website. So I will change my vote to the full process. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy.
Thank you. Council Mercy's amendment to that motion, so I would ask for a roll call on each.
On the amendment motion first. Roll call.
First the amendment.
Mayor Samaras.
No.
Councilor Cirillo.
No.
Councilor Conway. Councilor Elliott.
No.
Councilor Kennedy.
No.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
No.
Councilor Nunn.
No.
Motion fails. Back to the main
The
motion.
original, the main motion. Will you please read the main motion?
The main motion regarded, correct me if I'm a little off, to proceed in the prior fashion of electing a city manager in terms of posting in the Globe and the MMA and the Khmer newspaper for a period of 2 weeks and posting it internally as well, made by Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Cirillo.
Do we?
The point of clarification, we're not putting it in the Lowell Sun? I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. Either it goes in all the papers or it doesn't go in the papers. I mean, you know. Yeah,
Choice of this-
and we
this
either do
body.
it just computer and no paper, or you can't exclude one paper out of another.
We can put it online.
Okay,
Sorry.
Councilor Elliott. You're through, Mr. Leahy, Councilor Leahy.
So we should, either we do it computer or computer in all papers. Madam Solicitor, maybe? I don't know.
Solicitor,
Somebody.
then Councilor, Madam Solicitor?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm
They
sorry.
would-
Somebody.
Thank you. I'm just going to make a suggestion, and it's certainly up to the city council what they would like to do. We can put it out there for 2 weeks on the city's website and in MMA, which goes on the, the different websites out there also. And then we will not do any of the papers, if that works.
That would be my suggestion.
Councilor Elliott?
No, I was just going to, that's all I was going to suggest as well. I think it's, and I was just going to suggest a time frame that, once resumes are in, that they're forwarded to the council, we're given a week to look at them. The following, and by the end of that week, let's say, can we just for talking purposes say the 16th is the day that we will get recommendations to interview 3 candidates, if that's okay with my colleagues, and then the following week, we set up interviews for 3 candidates.
What's the feeling of the body?
I'll second
Councilor-
that.
okay. All right. I just want, the only statement I want to make, I mean, I do believe in the process. I think, whatever we do, we have to demonstrate to the public that we do have a process, and we use that process. We can make any type of conjectures as to what will be the final results, but the process is something that is part of what this body is responsible to do. And I think we make this a much better situation by having a complete process. What I'd like now, though, is some clarification of that process. So the thing is, are we agreed on 10 days? Is that an agreement, 10 days?
Well,
Councilor Kennedy?
2 weeks, 10 business days or 2 weeks, it's kind of the same thing, so.
Okay, what's your choice?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
I put down some dates, so I would get it posted tomorrow, February 28th. In 2 weeks is March 14th, if that works for the council.
What type of advertisement are we talking about?
That would be on the MMA website, the city's website, and internally throughout City Hall and the different departments.
When would the day be, when would they all be due?
March 14th would be
Okay.
2 weeks from, I'd post it tomorrow.
Okay. How much time would you need to have the resumes, and so we could go over the resumes and make a selection? What would you suggest?
Would you want the resumes to you on the following Tuesday or mailed, however the council wants to receive the resumes?
Mail to us that weekend?
Yes, as soon as possible?
Yeah,
Okay,
by the weekend.
I can, email them, mail them, have
I
them,
think hard copies would, I think most
Yeah, hard
for a
copy.
hard copy.
okay.
Council
Mr.
Kennedy?
Mayor, we've got the calendar right in front of us, so we thought that if we were gonna advertise or keep the position open for the 14th, then it would be by the 20th,
Okay.
that the councilors would have to give their choices of who they would like to be interviewed, and then the interviews would be scheduled for the week of the 25th to the 29th
Okay,
of
and
March.
and the selection would take place?
Probably on the 29th if we're concluded by then.
Any questions at this point? Yes.
Procedurally, we still have the main motion by Councilor Kenny on the floor, so if someone would recommend a substitute motion spelling out exactly what the council's looking for.
At this point.
Okay,
point of
I would offer up a substitute motion that's the same as what I just said a couple of minutes ago. Is that good enough?
That's enough.
Do you need- yeah.
And I'll second it again.
I got it.
Mrs. Callery, are you all set? with-
I am.
Sure,
Clerk,
Mr.
you-
Mayor, the only thing I would suggest is that final weekend is Easter weekend, so we might want to just make a selection the first week of April. I don't know if Easter week interferes with anybody, but it may, so just want to be aware.
I guess moving forward, we
So-
can see how we're doing. And if that becomes a problem, then we can adjust the schedule then.
Okay.
I concur. I'll say, all right, so we'll have roll call?
On the substitute motion, Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Cirillo.
Yes.
Councilor Conway. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
No.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Callery. All right, we have the minutes of the Park and Recreation Subcommittee meeting of February 13th and the City Council meeting of February 13th for acceptance. I need a motion to accept and place on file
So moved.
by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Thank you. All right, we have communications from the city manager, motion response, class action suit regarding opioids. Councilor Elliott, this was your request?
Yeah, no, I think I said it when I brought the motion forward. I think it makes all the sense in the world. Mr. Manager, do you want to?
Yes, we'll, the lawyer from the law firm we hired will be here either next Tuesday or the following Tuesday, just to explain what the process is going to be.
Okay. So, if we could, Mr. Mayor, just delay this until next week when the attorney comes to have a full discussion on that?
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on this issue? All right, thank you. All right, the next is informational, the downtown business meeting. Mr. Manager, could you discuss that?
Yes, the council was, and Councilor Kenny, I knew you had requested this also, I believe, is to have another meeting. We've had this meeting before with downtown businesses to ascertain their needs and wants in the downtown area. So we've set this up for Monday, March 5th, 2018, from 5:30 to 7 at the Enterprise Bank Community Room in downtown Lowell. And we're going to be inviting all of the property owners and the downtown business owners to come. We'll have people from DPD and other departments of the city there to answer any questions and to secure feedback from the businesses and the property owners as to how they want us to proceed with marketing downtown and improving it.
Any questions? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you. Thank you to the administration for scheduling this meeting. We did have a motion referred to the Downtown Economic Development Subcommittee a couple of weeks back, and I knew that there was some discussion about having this meeting, so I've not scheduled that meeting yet. So what I thought I would do is work with the clerk's office after the March 5th meeting and then schedule a Downtown Economic Development Subcommittee, either on a Tuesday night, or there was some talk of doing it on a Saturday morning. And I think I'll get some more direction after this meeting on Monday night, March 5th. So I'll be in touch with the city clerk's office and the members of the subcommittee. Thank you.
Councilor Leahy.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for setting this up to the manager's office. So this should be a good meeting, and if you want to stay and implement any of this, you can stay for another year. Just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, thank you. Next, we have the 5-year comparison of crime stats. And Mr. Manager, I know we have the chief here, but could you also talk about the recent shootings that we had, and so address those both issues?
We really put this on as a placeholder. Every now, we provide these statistics to the council on a regular basis, and the statistics are quite remarkable, and I think the police force is doing a wonderful job relative to decreasing crime in the city. But we did have a couple of hiccups in the past couple of weeks, and I just wanted the superintendent of police to come here, explain what happened, take any questions. We also have the head of school, Ms. Bustine here, who I know there's concerns about schools in the recent history, so if there's any questions about what's going on at Lowell High School relative to these issues, she's here to answer those questions also. So Superintendent, if you could just, I know you can't go into explicit details, but just to explain what happened and what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Through you, Mayor, to the council. As you see from the 5-year NIBRS report, this community, the city, has made tremendous positive progress in reducing crime, all kinds of crimes in the city. And what the details show, and hopefully the people in the community get the opportunity to view this and digest it, it shows that we've made overall 32% reduction in crime in this community in the last 5 years. That's tremendous. That just doesn't happen. Other communities are experiencing increases, decreases, but to have that much of a reduction in overall crime in a city of 110,000 is really remarkable. And I think it speaks to not only the dedication and the hard work of the men and women of the police department that go out every day, it also speaks to the support that we've received from this city council and previous city councils, the administration under Kevin Murphy, that have provided not only the leadership but the resources and the funds to hire in excess of approximately 25 additional police officers. And make no mistake, those additional resources and officers make a tremendous amount of difference. It allows us to stand up a very proactive gang unit that has had a tremendous response in the city and done great work both in terms of enforcement but also in collaboration and working with various entities across the city to steer those youth that are in most danger into positive interactions and try and get them on the straight and narrow. So the overall trend is tremendous. I would say what I tell people is I think we are at literally generational lows in terms of crime in the city. Just tremendous positive news, and I think we all know that. Unfortunately, we're also a city of 110,000 people, very diverse urban environment in a very congested area of the country. We unfortunately did have 2 incidents. The first one, our officers made both the police officers and the detectives from the police department and working with the DA's office and the state police, they made a very quick apprehension. I can't go into a lot of details because obviously it's working its way through the judicial process, but I think as has widely been reported, that appears to be a random incident that is unbelievably tragic and savage in how it played out, but it appears to be related to a traffic dispute, and that's terrible. But I think our police department responded very appropriately, very quickly, and we made an apprehension literally within 24 hours. The second incident is a little bit more problematic. It's still the subject of a very aggressive, ongoing investigation. What I can tell you, what has been reported, is again, your police department, our police department, literally heard the gunshots before the calls came into the Lowell Police Department. So they were out there proactive and responded. We got directions from the residents of the city that called that in. Our officers were able to very quickly get there and apprehend 2 individuals that were leaving the scene. Both of those, our handgun was recovered, and both of those individuals were charged with the possession of the handgun. Unfortunately, a young man that is a resident in this city did die as a result of that, and that's a very open and active investigation that we are making progress, but we still, I'll use this as an opportunity to go out to the citizens of this city and ask for more help. We can always use additional information that will solidify our direction we're already going and potentially provide us with new leads in this investigation. So I think that's going in the right direction, and unfortunately, that's probably all I can say about it at this time.
Questions from the city council? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Chief. Good work. I know sometimes, I know in the past we've had a gun buyback program, and I know there are some positives as well as negatives. Some people think it's, guns that, not in the hands of the bad guys. But is it something that we can consider? I mean, considering it seemingly there's so many guns out there that if there are, guns that people know of and we can buy them back, I know big cities have them and they are met with some success. Of course, I understand, again, there are 2 sides to it, that it's not the guns that we want per se, but, to me, any number of guns off the street in the hands of that could fall in the hands of the wrong people is better off.
So I completely agree with you. Anytime we can get firearms off the street is a very positive thing for the city. And that's an excellent segue into my compliments to the Lowell High School, because we did do one, I believe it was in May of last year. And that was put forward by students and staff at the Lowell High School who came to us, asked us to participate in a gun buyback program, and then collaborated with the Middlesex Sheriff's Department that provided support for us. And the religious community in the city provided this funds, cards, debit cards that we gave out for people that turned in firearms. So we'll definitely consider that again this year. And that's a great testament to the students at the high school and the staff that really organized this, and then we helped push it along. So we'll do that again.
And how many?
I want to say it was in the 30 range.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think that's a significant amount, and
Right.
if we do that on a recurring basis, then, we just continue to,
Right.
Double or quadruple our the number of guns off the street. So, thank you, Chief. I know there's a motion on later, and I don't want to speak to it now, but just about high school and safety, maybe you could stick around when that comes up.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I was just going to ask the chief if you could just quickly just tell us about the collaboration that you do have with the high school, and I'm sure that the students, they have a lot to offer, and I don't know if we do, but we probably do, but maybe once a year, it's probably good to get together with the resource officers, head of school, and some students, and, come up with ideas or suggestions, or just talk about school safety, so.
Well, Councilor, what I can tell you is we do extensive training for active shooter drills. As a matter of fact, we just did one last week. We typically use schools that, when they're not in session, last week we ran 90 police officers through an active shooter training at the high school. We will do it again in April. Typically, that's when we do it, February and April. We try and run over all of our police officers. We also bring police officers from UMass Lowell, the National Park Service. We've brought the Drake Police Department in. The whole concept has changed in terms of active shooters, both in school systems and in employment locations too. We used to set up a perimeter, wait for a SWAT team to come in, and then do what we had to do in terms of neutralizing the threat and recovering people that have been injured. That has changed. We don't do that anymore. The active shooter now is to get to the location as quickly as possible, go to the sound of the gunfire, neutralize the threat, then we deal with the people that unfortunately have been injured. Because there's been a lot of study on this, and we've amended our training programs in the city, just like every other police department nationally, to understand that most of these individuals, unfortunately, when they go to something like this, their objective is to do as much carnage and as much, inflict as much injury and death to people as they can. They only stop when they meet resistance from usually law enforcement. Very often it ends with a perpetrator taking their own life. And so being cognizant of that, that's how all the training is proceeding. We do it extensively. We also have 9 school resource officers that are embedded in the school with the school department. They do a lot of training with the school staff and the students. They do hard lockdown drills, soft lockdown drills, evacuation drills. They do reunification drills with parents, staging areas. So I think if my understanding is each school does that twice a year with the direction from the school resource officers facilitating training. So I think we're well prepared. We can always try and do more. Unfortunately, when these situations involved, like we saw in Florida, Parkland, Florida, with that incredibly tragic situation, the level of violence and the weapons that they have access to is just tremendous. And the carnage that can be rained down on innocent people is just terrible. So,
Well, thank you for being proactive on that. Thank you.
Councilor Newman?
Thank you, Mayor. Great job, Chief, on the first incident, quick apprehension of the shooter. The second incident is the suspect still at large, right?
That is correct.
Can you tell us whether or not the second incident involved any gang-related?
So what I feel comfortable in saying is that we're exploring that, as always. We don't want to limit any potential motive or direction, and I think at this point in the investigation, that's about all I feel comfortable in saying.
The two individuals that was apprehended, charged on firearm, unlawful possession of firearm, those two are not related. They're family of the deceased. Is that correct?
They are family of the deceased. That's correct.
So they are at large, or the suspect at large at this point, right?
That is correct.
Thank you, Chief.
Any further questions? Chief, I just want to thank you.
Sure.
One thing, I just like to ask a question. I believe that shootings were an anomaly. I mean, what's happened in this city, I mean, the statistics show very well what the work you've been doing. But if you think what just happened in Winchester, I mean, a young girl sitting in a library, we have people that are in need of help on the streets of Lowell. Is there more that we can do to ensure, because there are more reports now, people should have known, the police should have known, someone should have known. It's not what we want to hear, but I mean, it's out there.
So,
is there anything that we can do as the city council to help you in all of this?
Well, Mayor, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. We recently applied for and received a grant from the federal government to do planning for response to mental health issues. As I think most of us know, in many cases, law enforcement, especially in urban environments like Lowell, have become the caretakers for people that need mental health assistance in our community. We see them out among us quite frequently, and it can happen in Winchester. It certainly can happen in Lowell. We've had multiple incidents. And when I first came on the police department, many of the state mental health institutions were still operational across the state, and they served as a location that people could get treatment, get assistance, and somehow, be buffered from the community. Most of those locations no longer exist, or they've been greatly diminished in their capacity. So, we find ourselves in this situation where law enforcement deals with people with mental health in the city of Lowell multiple times every day. And we do the best we can. I think more resources would be appropriate at probably the state level. But we'll keep the council involved and communicate with you as we do this grant. And I think, as a matter of fact, there's people that are away this week as part of or next week going to that training to try and develop a plan moving forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Everybody, all set? Thank you. Oh, yes. Ms. Bastide, yes.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me be here. I just wanted to share with you what's going on at the high school right now. Our students are scared. They're anxious. They're angry. They're overwhelmed about this shooting in Florida. We haven't stopped talking about it. So the staff hasn't stopped talking about it, and the students haven't stopped talking about it. And I just want to share with you, we're going to try to give them a forum, a more formal forum to get together and have a moderator and try to answer some of their questions. Maybe Chief can be there and the sergeant can be there and help answer questions about the drills and those kinds of things. I don't know if you've also heard that there's a movement afoot about this March 14th walkout. I don't know if anybody's been reading about that in the papers, to speak up about gun violence. And we're addressing that as well as a team. The administration team is working out what we're going to do and how we're going to support that. On Thursday, there's a Massachusetts superintendent's meeting where we're all going to be talking about that in Massachusetts. I've been invited to go to that with Janine Durkin. And we're trying to figure out how to address this for our students. But there's been a lot of sleepless nights about this shooting. I just want to share that with you. And in our students, I think they're going to make a difference. I think this country is going to see that the students are going to make the difference right now in all this, because it seems like the adults haven't been able to come to anything about all of these shootings. So I think the students really want to be involved. I want to encourage them to be involved, and we're trying to figure out what that's going to look like. So I just wanted to share that with you. But that conversation is going on. Students care. And I've made a couple of announcements on the loudspeaker. I've also sent something home to parents, just saying that we're working on it, we're talking about it, we're trying to make sure that everybody's safe, and what to do if they see something, say something, hear something, say something. And one thing that I did learn about the city, because I didn't grow up in the city, is that it's not common to say something when you see something. I guess that's, I've been told that that's not necessarily city culture, that people don't necessarily rat each other out. But we're trying to figure out how to change that culture in terms of safety for the school. So I just want you to know that it's ever present, it's right, something I'm thinking about all the time, and we're trying to make sure that we address this and make sure the students have a voice too. Okay?
Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Okay. Next, communication, I'm sorry, I need a motion to accept and place on file.
So moved.
By Councilor Elliott and second by Councilor Mercia. Okay. Next, the communication. Accept the resignation of Zachary Ware from the Sustainability Council. I need a motion to place on file.
Motion to place on file.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Mercia. Councilor Noon, seconded. Okay, communication to reappoint George Valeris to the Historic Board. I need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
By Councilor Kennedy.
Seconded.
And seconded by Councilor Cirillo. Roll call.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Cirillo.
Yes.
Councilor Conway. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Thank you. Next, we have a communication from the city manager, requests out-of-state travel for 4 members of the Lowell Police Department. Need a motion to adopt.
Motion to
Councilor
adopt.
Mercia, seconded by Councilor Cirillo. Okay. Report on subcommittee, if any. I'm sorry, roll call.
Mayor Samaras.
Yes.
Councilor Cirillo.
Yes.
Councilor Conway. Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Noon. 8 yeas.
Councilor Kennedy, do you want to give a report on the educational partnership?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Earlier this evening, the City Council Subcommittee on Educational Partnerships met at 5:30 to discuss designating Lowell as a global learning city. We listened to a presentation by Professor John Wooding regarding designating Lowell as a global learning city. That designation would come from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. I think it was something that that would give Lowell some national and international recognition. And the first step, as Professor Wooding suggested, the first step would be to have a festival. And so the plan is to have a festival, a learning festival in a Learning City Festival in April, which is a short time from now, but Professor Wooding is pretty much underway with the planning for this festival, and I think it's a great idea. When I was mayor, I had an opportunity that I had to pass on to go to Cork for, because Cork got a special designation from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And it's probably one of the few regrets I had when I was the mayor, Mr. Mayor. But I think it would be good for Lowell. And maybe someday Lowell can host a conference like that. But first steps first, I think the first thing is to have the festival in April. The professor and I have already met with the city manager. The city manager is going to designate somebody to be the point person from the city's point of view for the festival. And so we're good to go. So all we really need is a motion from the city council. I would like to move that we accept the communication as a report of progress, and that we refer the report to the city manager for
Need a second? Councilor Cirillo, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. That sounds exciting. All right,
Your
petitions.
Honor?
Yes.
Can I ask for a suspension of rules to talk about motion 7.7? There's a speaker here.
Any issues? Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Okay, 7.7?
Yeah.
Councilor Leahy requests city manager place Duran Avenue on the paving list for 2018.
Second.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you.
Second by
So the
Councilor
motion
Kennedy.
pretty much speaks for itself. I did forget to have them register, but under the suspension, they'll be able to speak? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We won't take much of your time. We're two residents. My name's Chip Powers. This is Kelly Powers. We live on Duran Ave in Lowell. I've been a Lowell resident for 25 years. Over the last 10 years, since they put a storage facility and the Scott's Mobile on the corner of Middlesex and that whole development project, they ran some underground utilities on the street and connected into the existing homes and whatnot. Over the last decade, it's been in a matter of disrepair that's gone down quite readily. The street's in pretty bad shape, and I'm probably understating it. It's a pedestrian hazard. It's a vehicle hazard. The plows have dug it up. We have young people on the street. We have old people on the street. I know it's a dead end, so we don't usually get much traffic, but I've watched people fall. I've seen people just avoid it, and it's actually starting to creep into some of the lawns. So what we were trying to do is we set up a petition, got the residents to sign it, and we'd just like to see if we could get this on the docket to get this thing repaved. After my wife had called, she had talked to City Councilor Leahy, and I thank you for coming out and taking a look at it, because it was in disrepair, and they've had an immediate fix to lessen some of the worst areas, and we appreciate that. It's obviously a fix in the winter that won't last, so it's the next time a plow's coming down, it's going to rip it all apart.
Yeah, it's already starting to.
So there's it's really a life safety issue that I see right now and the members of our street. So we're just trying to see if we can get that on the docket to get it repaved.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Councilor Leahy, anything else?
Thank you. So Councilor Rourke called me on this street, and then I went and took a look at it. But I didn't know, but Jim Troop had gone over with Nicholas Bossinetto, and they took a look at it too. So just if we can get these streets on the list for the next budget coming July. It's one of those dead-end streets we kind of forget about, but it's really getting beat up bad. And with the frost heaves, it was really bad last week, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Just a question, through you to City Manager. Mr. Manager, we are approved and we are a complete streets designation. Does that give us more funding? Does it give us more opportunity to apply, excuse me, for funding that other communities who have not submitted a complete streets program? Does it give us any special designation?
It helps us, like for example, with the Thorndike Street widening, that's going to be starting next week. It helped us that we had a complete streets program in getting that grant, but this doesn't help us get any more Chapter 90 money or other funding to repair the streets. But I know exactly where this is, down off Middlesex Street, and I'll take a look at it myself, and we'll move along on it.
So just to follow up, is the inventory already in the works, beginning the nice weather, or the number of streets, I should say?
And we'll be providing a paving list to you.
Okay, and we should be we're paving more because we're getting more money, right?
Right.
From the state, from Chapter 90, the governor has released that money.
Right. I think it's 200 million statewide, so that bodes well for us.
Okay, great. All right, thank
We'll
you.
give you a paving list so you'll know what our plans are for the good weather.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager. Mr. Manager, regarding the repaving list, which will be a list of the streets that are going to be done this year, could we also get the complete list of streets? I think from time to time, there's been quite a few streets that have been referred to be put on that paving list, and so it'd just be good to see just how long that list is at this point. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you. All right, going back to number 6, petitions, claims, 2 property damage. I need a motion to refer to the Law Department for a report and recommendation. Okay, so moved by Councilor Noon, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Thank you.
I have
Motion passes, but your question?
Sure. Thank you. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, these 2 property damage claims are both with regard to property damage on vehicles because of Swan Street. And some time ago, I made motions to put this on the repaving list. And I believe they came back and told me that it wasn't an accepted street. And I asked that it could be the process to begin, because it's not something we can just say, let's put it on the list. They got to go out and measure it and every which way from Sunday. So, and I did think that it was a good idea to be doing at least maybe 5 or 6 streets that are not on the paving list, because then they would be qualified for Chapter 90 money. So this is just an example of how you make a motion, nothing really happens, then we're being sued. So.
Right, this is Swan Street. I've asked Mr. Bossinetto to come up with the accepted streets plan.
Yeah.
We'll be presenting that to the council, and we'll take a special look at Swan Street.
I know you try, but it's probably slipped through the cracks, but thanks a lot.
I drive down there quite often.
It's a street that a lot of people go
Right.
down.
We'll take due note of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Motion passes, okay. Next, under miscellaneous, Colonial Gas and National Grid requests license for storage of flammable 19,600 gallons at 333 School Street. Need a motion to refer to the public hearing on March 13th, 2018 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Noon. Thank you. Next, National Grid requests installation of heavy-duty handhold and electric conduit in front of 43 Market Street. I need a motion to refer to a public hearing on March 20th, 2018, at 7 p.m. By Councilor Noon and seconded by Councilor Cirillo. Thank you. All right, now we go into City Council motions. First one, 7.1, by Councilor Cirillo. Request City Manager explore feasibility of implementing Pause to Read program at the Pollard Memorial Library. Second by Councilor Kennedy. Second.
Hi, yes. I had read about this program called Pause to Read, and it's exciting because I'm interested in finding creative ways of our children to learn. So I read about this, and the description is recent studies performed by research teams at UC Davis and Tufts University reveal doggone great news. Children who read aloud to therapy dogs or shelter cats on a regular basis demonstrate drastic improvement in their reading skills. Animals provide a safe, non-judgmental presence for struggling readers. Sharing books with the furry supporters helps children to sustain concentration and focus, maintain a higher level of awareness, improve attitudes towards school, increase reading comprehension and fluency, expand their use of vocabulary and language, boost confidence and pride in their reading skills, cultivate a higher motivation for reading and learning, foster positive social interactions, feel more comfortable about learning, enjoy the experience of reading. So I looked into this, and I found that 28 states already have programs with dogs, and roughly 163 cities. 3 states have programs with cats, which include Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. And there's not a city in the state of Massachusetts who has this program yet. So Lowell would actually be the first city in the state of Massachusetts to implement this program. And I think of our students and how wonderful this would be for them and how creative it is to have children come out of their shells and be able to learn to read out loud considerably better and feel more comfortable with reading. So that's the goal of this. Thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, motion adopted. 7.2 by Councilor Cirillo, request City Manager provide a report regarding road and sidewalk upgrades in the acre in and around Mount Washington Street, Merrimack Street, Sizzling Kitchen, and Market Street. I need a second. Councilor Noon?
This motion came about because I was at the Acre Group neighborhood meeting, and I just want to be clear that this isn't regarding Sizzling Kitchen. Sizzling Kitchen is used as a reference point. The block that I'm referencing is from about Sizzling Kitchen up Merrimack toward University Crossing, and also the same area on Market Street and Mount Washington. The Acre is having a lot of issues with their roads and their sidewalks, and so that's basically what this motion is regarding. And I mean, it actually falls through to the other areas of the city also who are having issues with their roads and sidewalks. So if it could be comprehensive, that would be fantastic also. So thank you.
Discussion, okay, motion adopted. 7.3 by Councilor Cirillo.
Your Honor?
Oh, sorry, Councilor
I
Lee.
just wanted to say one thing. That's a good motion, and I just want to remind everybody that, we've been doing a lot of work on the sidewalks in the neighborhoods, and, we'll eventually get over there, but we have done a lot in the last couple of years, so once we get to this, if we could just get the report. Thank you.
Okay. Next motion by Councilor Cirillo, request City Manager provide a report regarding spring cleaning procedures throughout the city. Need a second? Councilor Kennedy, thank you.
This is self-explanatory. I would love to get a report on the cleaning procedures. And I think that if we could get there is a pride of ownership from homes, But also, I would like to see the businesses involved in the cleanup also, if that's possible, because we have so many businesses here in Lowell that their areas could use some cleanup also. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Further discussion? All right, motion adopted. Okay, 7.4 by Councilor Elliott, request city manager provide a status report regarding the inspection of multifamily units per city ordinance. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think it's good, Mr.
I'm
Ma-
sorry, second, Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned, I think it's important, Mr. Manager, to get us an update where we are with this process. I know it was a 3-year inspection process, and I know that it was going well. And my thought is, it came after listening to the abandoned housing initiative, and certainly, what is the relationship? We do have some multifamily units or two-family that clearly are not in livable conditions, to say the least. But just, where are we with that process? I know it takes a while and to set up appointments, but I think it's important. I think it was effective, and perhaps if we can, the inspectional services can let us know how many units were cited and, some of those, what the violations are. Because I think as we move forward, it's important to keep our housing stock in as good as condition for people living there. Lord knows they're paying, premium rents. So that's the gist of the motion, to see where we are and how can we perhaps become a little bit more aggressive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All right, motion adopted. Next, by Councilor Kennedy, request city manager instruct Perkins Eastman include an active shooter detection system similar to Methuen High School system as part of the plans for the new high school, and recommend that the superintendent of schools consider similar systems for other schools within the city. A second?
Second.
Councilor Mercia, thank you. Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Part of a big part of the reason why I filed this motion is really just out of the frustration that I think many of us feel over the lack of action from the United States Congress regarding guns. So this particular active shooter detection system, I believe, was featured on television, and one of the schools at Methuen have a similar system. I just think that it's something that we should look into. I think that it's probably timely, since we're involved with the high school project, that we should look at it now. And the second part of the motion asks that the superintendent of schools consider the system for other schools within the city. I think it's really a sad day when we get to the point where we have to try to turn our schools into fortresses. However, I do think that regarding the high school, now is the time to look at this. And I don't mean by this motion to endorse this particular item. There might be something that's better. And I also am not sure of what the cost of all this would be. But I do think that given that we're not going to get any action out of Washington, or it doesn't look like we're going to get any action out of Washington, that we have to take some action ourselves to make sure that we provide adequate protection in all of the schools within the city of Lowell, and that's the reason for the motion. So I'd be interested in the report. I'd also be interested in knowing exactly how much it would cost to implement this, both at Lowell High School and citywide in all of the schools. And also, too, I think that maybe the MSBA might cover this, but I'm not sure about that. So that's something I think that's worth asking the MSBA about. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I find this motion very interesting. I, too, was familiar with the Methuen High School system. I heard from different people. I checked a little bit of it out. I did get word from people that live in Methuen, and did you really know that this system is high quality, wonderful system, very expensive though. This system was actually, put in effect, and it was designed by this man that worked in Raytheon. Raytheon didn't kind of take to it, so he developed it on his own, and it's nationwide. It's a nationwide system. I know that Joe Solomon, the police chief in Methuen, he endorsed it, he supports it. They incorporated it into their design, and they got that done. I didn't make the motion. I was going to make it next week, but I thought that when Vesna was acting vice mayor, he told us to keep the agenda light, so I didn't make any motion. But it is a very interesting motion to get a cost as to what is that going to be. But I just want to reiterate what former Deputy Superintendent Judge Ryan wrote in the newspaper today, which I thought made a lot of sense. And I'm waiting to see if perhaps we can have communication with the Methuen High School just to find out what the cost would be, since we're going to redesign Lowell High School, and maybe we could incorporate that into our plans if it isn't that expensive. But how do you put a price on safety for the children? But I will reiterate what former Deputy Superintendent Judge Ryan said: install metal detectors and security cameras at all school entrances. Having said that, I would add, do not have security cameras without an assigned person overseeing it. It equates to this council making an ordinance that is not enforced. So that's a thought. Have armed in-house police officers, but I'm sure that they are armed, because I asked the chief, Taylor, if our resource officers have guns, and they do. Install doors that have metal braces that can't be pulled open by an intruder and can withstand the door lock being shot out. And I'm sorry to say it, but this is reality, and I don't blame the children for being afraid. These are his suggestions, but I'll add mine. I would add anonymous tip line for the resource officers, for students to share concerns with officers privately. Nobody wants to be labeled as a snitch, but this is a way that they could do it anonymously, privately. Every tip helps. Have officers check social media to see what students are saying if they got expelled. I know when I was the mayor, we had expulsionary hearings, and it was quite regularly. So let's see what happens on social media. I'm not really too good with it, but we have officers that, and I'm not saying they're not doing their job, but I'm sure they could get to know social media and look and see what people are. That's what happened in Methuen. This is how the system became implemented in Methuen, because in 2013, a student sent a text message and posted threats on social media, and his texts were taken seriously. I believe officers did the right thing there in 2013. I'm only offering these suggestions. This is how I think we should proceed, but it's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Councilor Cirillo?
I think this is a great motion, and I feel that any expense for the active shooter detection system is worth our students' safety. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott, did you have a question?
No, I didn't have a question. I think it's a good motion. I think in light of not only what took place in Florida, but also what took place in Taunton recently, we have to take measures into our own hands, which was alluded to. So I think it makes sense. And again, we're just talking about the high school, but we have so many other schools that we need to ensure the safety and protection of those kids, so the parents are somewhat at ease. I guess I just wanted, there were so many issues that we talked about today, and I believe there was a motion that was filed, I think it was by Councilor Conway, to reestablish the safety task force. I think that makes some sense for us to continue to share information. I have questions, for the chief and others relative to, are we monitoring? Is it possible?
We're going to be giving that motion response
Okay.
to the council very soon.
Okay.
Not only the safety task force, but also the hotline.
Okay. Yeah,
Those are two motions we're going to be responding to very shortly.
I think that makes sense, especially now people need to say something. And Chief, my quick question was, does the state or does the city monitor any of these social media sites for any type of message that might?
So what we do, Counselor, is we do have a component that monitors, but usually it involves the police department getting notified by somebody that comes across it and alerts us to it, and then we do an investigation to see what the details are. That's how people communicate, especially people in the school systems and things. They talk over social media. It probably, out of necessity, our detectives and our officers have to become social media experts because it's involved in almost every investigation now.
Not to put you on the spot, do you have any thoughts on this system?
I've seen a few years ago the system demonstrated down at Massport at the airport. It's a good system. I think you're correct. I think you're going to find the price is expensive. The only thing I will give you some guidance on, it doesn't prevent a shooting, but it does provide assistance both to staff and law enforcement to, in the response to the shooting, identify where the individual is.
Got it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Motion adopted. Thank you. Next, by Councilor Kennedy, request city manager instruct law department to begin procedures and preparation necessary for the eminent domain taking of 75 Arcan Drive. Seconded by Councilor Cirillo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could, the process for eminent domain is going to take some time. And so the reason for the motion is just to have the city manager, or to signal, have the city council signal to the city manager that we should begin that process. We are currently looking at 3 different options, and 2 of those options would require eminent domain, eminent domain taking of property on Arcan Drive. So I think the manager's already moving ahead on this, but what's required really is selection of appraisers, time for the appraisers to complete their appraisals. There needs to be a public hearing and so forth and so on, and I think if we can get going on it now, we might be ready to take a vote on whether or not we're going to take that property maybe in early June, which would be before, we're hoping to go before the MSBA, I believe, later on in June. So anyways, that's the point of the motion, is just to get ready so that we can be ready and have everything in order for June. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before any vote takes place and any process such as eminent domain begins, I want to know what the cost is to relocate these 6 doctors would be. I don't think we should vote blindly without knowing the cost. We should scrutinize this and try to see what the cost is to the taxpayer. Thank you.
Councilor Miller.
Thank you. I think that's the intent of the motion, to make sure that we do know the costs. And as Councilor Mercia pointed out last week, there's more than 4 of the 5, the threshold, in order to do a relocate to 6. So it's above the threshold. So we need to get in touch with the HCD and get a relocation plan underway, which is part of the procedures, if you will, for the eminent domain taking. So I think this will gather that information that we need by June. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Elliott?
Well, I can support that. I can support a motion if it's to gather information, but I'm a little confused as to what the procedures are. My understanding is that we have to have a preferred schematic design sent down. I mean, we just have options, and we don't have an approved plan yet. And I understand 2 of the 3 do have an eminent domain component to it, but it seems like it's a little premature. If the motion is to get, an update on cost and relocation, and what that process is and what it requires the city to do, as well as, what is the process for remediation or testing and then remediation thereof and access. I know there were lots of issues that we did speak of. I can support that motion, but I just don't understand what exactly we are instructing the manager. If it's to get information, I think that makes all the sense in the world, because I think it's not clear exactly what that is and what the costs associated with. So I'll stop.
Yeah, if I could. At the last meeting of the school building committee, and I think that Councilor Elliott was there, we were told by people from Perkins and Eastman and Skanska that they needed to do testing in preparation for the high school project, and that in order to do that, it would be good if the city had possession of the property. And in order to get possession of the property by June, we need to move forward now with this. This is not a vote to do the eminent domain. This is a vote to prepare for the eminent domain a few months from now. But I think it's prudent and wise to get going on it now rather than to wait till later if we are hoping to go to the MSBA for approval in June, which I am hoping to do. And if I could, before I relinquish the floor, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, Mr. Manager, will we be having more public hearings regarding the whole high school project?
Do you mean community meetings?
Yes.
Yes, on the schedule, there are a couple for the beginning of April and then for the end of April.
Okay. Would we be able to schedule any for March?
Sure, if we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would be,
Maybe, yeah, but we should make sure we have enough information.
Yes.
Before we schedule the actual dates.
right, but even where we are right now in the process is probably good for some people. I'm not sure that everybody in the city is up to speed with where we are right now anyways. So if we could just have 1 or 2 meetings in March just to get it going, I think that would be helpful.
Right, we have that SBC meeting March 29th, I believe it is, and I think we'll have a better idea at that point in time how much information we have. But I've asked the law department, specifically Elliot Veluso, to prepare a report relative to the process for eminent domain, and he's going to be issuing that to all the city councilors, so you'll know the process.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Elliott?
So if there's no objection to making the motion on a friendly amendment, just so that the motion reads that the law department, which is what they're working on, prepare a report on the procedures and preparation, I think it'd be more clear, and I think it would answer questions that both of us have, so if there's no objection to the maker.
I'm not sure that the motion couldn't be much more clearer than what it is. It requests the city manager, since the city council is not able to instruct the law department directly, it requests that the city manager instruct the law department to begin procedures and preparations necessary for the eminent domain taking of 75 Arcane Drive. I don't, unless you want to get into a debate over semantics, I'm not sure that there's anything the matter with the motion as it reads.
I don't know exactly what the procedures mean. If it's a report, that we fully understand exactly what the process is, including cost, including relocation, including DHCD, I think that makes sense. So it's not semantics. I mean, at what point does the city begin the procedure, and what does that mean? Maybe that is the question. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just don't know exactly what that means. Is it a land taking, or is it, to contact DHCD? I mean, again, we don't have an approved plan, so I'm just making sure we're not putting the horse before the cart. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just like to know what the report is before we vote on what, to initiate land taking and procedures. That's all.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not trying to be difficult either. However, at the building committee meeting at which you were in attendance, I asked the city manager to ask the law department to come up with 2 schedules, a schedule based on a August meeting with the MSBA and a schedule based on the June meeting with the MSBA. I think you probably remember me doing that. And I was expecting that we'd have that report from the law department right now, but we don't. So in lieu of that, I filed this motion. If we're gonna get it next week and we can do the motion right after that, then I have no objection to waiting a week. But I don't want to wait for several weeks to get a report from the law department and then find that we're not in good shape for the June MSBA meeting.
Understood.
That report will be issued forthwith. It's ready to go out.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to accept the friendly amendment, or do you want your motion stay as it? Well, please. Sorry. Pardon?
If we're going to get the report, I think it makes some sense for all of us to be able to process the report, and then, this vote would seem to make sense. That's all.
Councilor Kennedy, what's your?
Well, I guess if when's forthwith? Tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay. So it probably would have been helpful if we already had it, but since we don't, I have no objection to waiting a week on the motion. I don't think that a week's gonna kill it. So, so let me move in substitution that we delay action until next week on this motion.
Second to that?
Thank you, Council Kennedy. Can we also, I mean, I think the relocation process is, will we have reached out to DHCD to see exactly what that is? Because I think it's a cost and it's a timing.
Yes,
issue
we've
as well.
reached out to DHCD for the process.
Okay.
And that will be part of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ms. Clerk, we have what motion? We have the motion.
Yeah, the
we have.
motion was, motion to delay it for one week, seconded by Councilor Elliott.
Is that, are you satisfied with that?
In order to get the vote for next week, I have no I think it's reasonable to wait a week. I don't mind waiting a week. I don't really see the need for the delay, but if there's people requesting the delay, then I'm okay with a 1 week delay. I would not be okay if the delay goes beyond 1 week, though. I'll be pushing for a vote next week.
Motion adopted. Thank you. Announcements?
There's one more motion.
There's-
I'm sorry, Councilor Leahy. Neighborhood Subcommittee begin discussion regarding the residential parking programs throughout the city.
Seconded.
Second by Councilor Sewell.
Thank you. Just if we could meet, not all neighborhoods need a parking permit program, but some do, and neighborhood leaders would like to start a discussion about that. So that's what the motion's about.
Anybody else? Okay. Motion adopted. Okay. Announcements? Yes, Mr. Manager.
The Paula Memorial Library will be fully open beginning tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. This Saturday from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m., the VFW highway will be closed from Aiken Street to University Ave. They're going to be making repairs on the VFW highway, so avoid that area this Saturday. And the widening of Thorndike Street will begin next week. And to alleviate any traffic problems, is they're going to be doing the work at nighttime. So they'll be working from 9 p.m. till 5 in the morning, Sunday through Thursday on Thorndike Street.
All right, motion to adjourn? Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Cirillo.